Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast, which I'm very excited about because we're kind of flipping the script today. It's episode 60. Woo! And I have the lovely Natalie with me today. And Natalie reached out via Instagram. I'd done a post to see who might like to interview me on the podcast, and Natalie was the first one to reach out and say, I want to do it. So here we are. So I was just saying to Natalie, it's really strange not having any notes beside me because I'm so used to doing all the questioning and listening to the answers. So it'll be a bit different. So thank you, Natalie. Do you want to do just say hi and maybe why you wanted to do it?
Yeah.
So here I go. I'm going into interviewer mode already. Shut up, Susie. On you go.
Hi, I'm Natalie. So obviously saw your post on Instagram about interviewing you. And well, kind of first and foremost, I thought since kind of meeting you in January, I just thought you're an interesting person. I'd like to know a little bit more about you. And then I also kind of decided this year that I was going to do a few more things that were maybe out of my comfort zone. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity. So yeah.
Love it. Yay. Well done you. Well done you. So yeah, I think it is like somebody had asked me that the other day about things that push me out of my comfort zone. And yeah, I think it's really important to do these things just to allow ourselves to grow a bit and find out things that we might enjoy or fun or just challenge ourselves a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So I'll let you fight away. I was like saying in some of my stories, I hope you're not going to be like Piers Morgan.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, I thought we would start firstly with just how are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, so I am good. I'm definitely in probably the best place I've been in a long time. Um, I've been, I guess, on this mad journey of even deeper self-discovery, and self-love for the past 15 months after experiencing kind of physical challenges and then due to the physical challenges, mental challenges. And yeah, I was just saying earlier that I'd received a diagnosis this week for part of what I've been experiencing, which has been really, really great, but also requires a bit of kind of reframing and readjustment and stuff. So yeah, I've discovered so much more about myself the past 15 months. I am good. I'm in a lot more mindful, which is hilarious given I'm a mindfulness teacher, but a lot more mindful and present. Like you can always go deeper, and this is what I'm discovering. You know, I asked for not last year, not this year, sorry, last year, my New Year's resolution was to kind of really optimize my health to be the healthiest I've ever been. And then the universe dished out all this like ill health. And I was like, okay, interesting. So I think I thought I was pretty healthy before, but now I've like deepened that even more.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm in a good place and lots of exciting things happening and um yeah, just a real joy being in instead of fighting perimenopause and being in my 40s, just really like settling quite nicely to this new decades.
Oh, that is lovely. That is lovely to hear. And I suppose yeah, that kind of leads me on to the next question that I want to ask was about kind of what led you to write your book?
So my first book, Be Free, which is all about anxiety, depression, overcoming all these things holistically. Um, Interestingly, when I decided I wanted to write a book, it wasn't ever going to be about that. Like that wasn't what I thought I was going to write about. And I went away to a writing course, and what came through was that was the story that needed to be written, kind of my story and where I'd got to and the tools and techniques I'd used and the things I was already using to support my clients and kind of just sharing my clients' stories and this kind of framework that I'd created to support people with anxiety and depression. So I wrote that book and it was, yeah, incredibly cathartic challenging to write and relive the kind of anxiety and depression that I had felt from kind of age 15. I'd started having panic attacks and anxiety and things, and then that kind of played out throughout my life right up to my 30s when I had my daughter. And yeah, so that was kind of the basis, what drew me to write that book. But as I say, it wasn't the original book. I've still got that book in the back of my mind, the original book. I won't share what it is yet.
Okay.
But it's on the list of books to write.
Good
So
night.
yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I think that's like you hear so many stories about people writing books or creating something where it's came from something, a pain that maybe they've went through, but they want
Mhm.
and they really want to help other people lessen that pain if they can avoid that pain, maybe they can't avoid it. But yeah, I think it's always nice when it's something that you can relate to and it's something that someone's been through and it's coming from a place of, yeah, just wanting someone else not to go through what you've been through, or if you can
Yeah.
help support or just even, yeah, say you're not alone.
Yeah, I think that's the thing actually. The main thing that's probably come from that is people reaching out saying, "Oh my gosh, like I can relate to that. I didn't know that other people felt that way, or other people had thought those thoughts or experienced those things." And that there is hope. Like you can come out the other side of this, and there are tools, techniques, and things that you can use other than medication to get yourself through to recover from anxiety and depression.
Yeah, I always think that is mad that, like, I mean, I felt it myself. You think, oh, I'm alone in this, no one else is going through this. And then if you just open up, if you just speak, connect, yeah, you find out that, yeah, I mean, I think, some people might say, oh, I've never been affected by mental health or something. I'm like, oh, I think it's universal. It's everybody. It's, you can't avoid it in life, and even if you're avoiding it, yeah,
Yeah, physically it'll be responding in your body somehow, even if you're thinking that you're not experiencing it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh.
for sure. Okay, so the next question I had for you was, what would you say has been your biggest failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
Ooh. So I always used to say there's no such thing as a failure. Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't really believe in failures. I always kind of thought, well, you know, it's kind of lessons or whatever. But I would say my biggest failure, which led me up to probably this point of ill health this time, is not listening to my intuition, acting on my intuition, um, listening and tuning into my body more, and acting and tuning into that wisdom. I've always been very intuitive, um, but sometimes our humanness and our ego mind kind of takes over a bit. And it's like, oh, oh, don't be silly, or whatever. So I think probably not tuning in quick enough to my body's wisdom and the things that it's telling me. Because I think often by the time our body's responding, and I say this with like people with anxiety, often by the time our body's saying something, it's like at the far end. Like, so for anxiety, for example, you might be in a job that you dislike and you're finding it really stressful and all those things, and you're just getting on with it and you're doing it, and then suddenly you start getting migraines, and then suddenly your skin starts playing up, and then suddenly, like, and you are ignoring all these signs because you've ignored the previous signs that what you were doing wasn't right for you. So I
Yeah.
think for me, probably not listening to my intuitive wisdom and getting just a bit muddled with all of that, like just not giving myself the space to kind of process it and um yeah, listen to what was needed.
And in that, has there been learnings? Like, in experiencing that as and seeing that as a failure, has there been learnings in that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that leads me on to all the work that I'm doing now. I'm really like, my word for this year was vibrancy, and kind of really working with the energy of the body, the energy of my life, and really tuning in and being guided. So this year I wanted to be guided by the law of attraction, but purely through vibration. So what I mean by that is before I would have had goals like, oh, I want such and such a car, I want to go to such and such a place, I want to build this, I want to write that book, I want to do that TED talk, I want to, like, whatever it would be. Like I'd have these like really specific goals. Whereas the specificity, like this year, has been around my energy. So how can I improve my energy so I attract in whatever needs to be attracted towards me? And with that, I've had, like, I got the opportunity to write someone's book. I would never have thought of, putting myself out there to write somebody else's book. Like that was something that happened when I was at kind of a really low point and thought, oh gosh, I can't work and da 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 da. But I was working on my energy, and then ping, I get a Facebook message from someone who's like, would you consider writing my book? And I'm like, oh, wow, that is something I could do whilst I can lie in bed and write someone's book. Or and then just even, like a business coaching client I've been working with recently, I'd kind of stopped all that, wasn't really doing that. And then she approached me, and just, collaborations, different things coming in that I wouldn't necessarily probably have sought out. But because I'm like working with my own energy and trusting my intuition on things, some things I've said no to, some things I'm saying yes to, and just working with that yes and no and really listening. So yeah, I've learned so much about working with my intuition, honoring my energy, listening to my inner yes and inner no. So yeah, it's been a big learning curve.
Yeah. And that's made me think, like, I'm just going to add in a wee question here that didn't happen there. But you've got children, like, do you try and instill that in your children? Because I'm wondering, I share a lot of those experiences you're speaking about, and a lot of the, for so many years, I ignored my intuition. And sometimes when I reflect, I think, is that why I ended up X, Y, and Z? So yeah, like now I think I really want to instill that in my children, to listen to themselves, to trust themselves, to trust the feelings that they get. Yeah, and don't dismiss them and think because someone tells you otherwise, yeah. But I think I think so many of us get to a certain age and start to realize how important intuition is, but it's like, how do you instill that in your children or help and, instill it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, probably, like, my two other children are my stepchildren, they're older. And I think parenting has evolved so much. Like the way, like, co-conscious kind of conscious parenting, I guess, like that wasn't really probably how we brought up our older two children, because we both came from very traditional families. And with regards to kind of discipline, manners, like all these kind of things. So it was very, very different. So I think I'm probably just becoming more conscious of those things now with my 13-year-old. But, when she was younger, I was still very much a traditional parent. When it comes to things like that, I do encourage her to listen to her intuition. She does like she's got her own angel cards. Now that she's 13, she is kind of like veering away from the things that she maybe did when she was younger, like the crystals, angel cards, yoga, all of those kind of things. But, I think just being an example to our children. And it was my husband's 60th birthday recently, and our eldest, we went around the table and we were just all saying something nice about him. And, my eldest had said that about, how there's been these rock bottom moments, but his resilience has kind of shown her, what's possible.
Yeah.
So I think as long as we are there demonstrating what we would want for our children, and I think that, like, that is, would you want this for your child? The way you're behaving towards yourself, would you want your child to be skipping meals and staying up late all night? Or like, no, like, so, treat yourself like you would your child. And I think that's the kind of leading by example, I guess.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's
yeah, I don't kind of do all like my witchy woo stuff. Although like a lot, I think they're kind of like more intrigued by it.
Thing is, I think if you're introduced to that young, if you're introduced to yoga and meditation and breathing techniques, you're aware of them, and they might come back. They might be of use in kind of later life, as you go through life.
Absolutely. And I think they do, like, I've heard like even like my stepson speaking to friends, and some of the things that comes out of his mouth, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny, because that's stuff that we've like spoken about. And they've embraced things like tapping and counseling and therapy and Reiki and massage and like yoga and all the things as well. So they've essential oils. They've
It's
like
there as tools if they need them. Oh, you must be like, when you hear them speaking about stuff like that, though, you must be like, oh yeah, you like it.
It's funny, but then you can see other patterns, like partying and all these other things, and you're like,
yeah, that's me.
Totally.
Oh, well, I suppose that leads us on nicely to the next question I had, which was, what advice would you give your younger self about life? I mean, you can be specific, or life in general.
So yeah, my younger self liked to do everything to excess. She worked hard, played harder, very goal orientated. And I guess, and this is one of the things I would say from navigating this period of ill health and perimenopause and now being 44 as well, can kind of look back and say, like, not everything needs to be done now, right? You can like have an idea and write it down. You don't have to suddenly go and launch a new business or get engaged or finish with a boyfriend or whatever, like that's it, it's over. Like I was so spontaneous when I was younger, and I am spontaneous now, but I do kind of process things a bit more and think a bit more about kind of the repercussions. And maybe that's just being younger as well. You live and you learn. But yeah, I would say to her, not everything needs to be done to excess, and just to take some time for you. And because I used to work all the hours, and I'd be in work from like 7 in the morning till like 7 at night, then go out for a few drinks, then go home, and then do the same thing over and over again. And sometimes I remember I'd like drive to work, and not because I'd maybe only had like a glass of wine the night before, but sometimes I couldn't remember where I'd parked my car, because every day was like Groundhog Day, going in and working in sales and doing all this stuff. And so yeah, I think just slowing it down, recognizing that not everything needs to be done straight away, and just kind of thinking of the repercussions.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice answer. And next I have, tell me about the most 3 influential people in your life and how they've impacted you.
Ooh. So 3 influential people. So I would say one person that's really influenced me, and I've never met them, and they're sadly no longer here, is Louise Hay, the author Louise Hay.
Okay.
So Louise Hay wrote the book You Can Heal Your Life, and I read that in my early 30s when I was going like really challenging periods with whole kind of anxiety and various health things going on. And her work really supported me. But the one thing that inspires me about her was she didn't start kind of down this path until really late in life. And then she set up her publishing company. I can't remember how old she was. I'm going to be lying, but she was like in her 50s or 60s or something when she set up this publishing company. And she went on to, like, speaking about why did I write my book. So that book writing course I went on was through Hay House, which was her publishing company. And on the way there, I was teaching an essential oil class in like Aberdeenshire, and I had to go and drive to Edinburgh and then fly from Edinburgh to wherever I was going. Anyway, the class was running on, and I thought, oh, it's going to be fine. It's okay. I'll still make it. I'll still make my flight. I'll still get to Edinburgh. And on the way to Edinburgh, I was listening to a podcast and I was like totally panicking. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this flight. And I actually heard her come through and speak to me, and she was like, it's going to be okay, kid. Like, you're going to get on this flight and da 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 da. And I should have written down everything that she said, but she came through and like I could hear her speaking to me. And I made it by the skin of my teeth. Again, I parked my car in a random car park. So when I got home, I couldn't remember, like, oh my gosh, which car park did I even park my car in? But like, just made it by the skin of the teeth onto the plane. And then I met so many incredible people at that course. And that was what really drew me to write that book, because my mum had passed away like not that long before then. And I was questioning, will I go? Will I not go? So yeah, Louise Hay is like such an inspiration to me because she continued to do this beautiful work in the world right up to the moment she passed, and yeah, her books are just incredible.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. I'm not familiar with her, but yeah, I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, really powerful healing work, a lot of work around affirmations, mirror work, self-love. Yeah, really powerful and transformative. So yeah, she's really had an influence on my work in the world. As well. So that would be numero uno. I would say my mom, obviously I just touched my mom there. My mom, like my mom was such a caring, compassionate, like I didn't realize, I think, until she passed away, like how much she did for her church. And she worked with like homeless charity, and then she was a caterer for people with learning difficulties, and like she did all these like things, but so self-depreciative, like, and so like just loving with family, and really good at kind of connecting family and keeping everyone together, and but quite a strong person as well. So she has a big influence, I would say, on my life. And number three isn't kind of like a physical person either, but I would say probably my intuition and my higher self, like listening to that influence, tuning into that guidance, recognizing that I don't have to figure it all out, that there is this other influence and guide that's available to me. So yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my three: my mom, Louise Hay, and my higher self.
Oh no, they're great answers. Let me just have a look at this sixth question. Yeah, this is the last question I had for you, and it was just kind of, what are the plans for the future? What are you
So
focusing on?
yes, so I would say like it's really interesting because probably the plans for the future have just come together in the past 2 weeks. Before that, I wasn't really planning. I was sitting in this real kind of incubator moment of just allowing stuff to come and seeing what was coming. And now, yeah, I'm kind of shifting my business differently, trying to move away from the things that I did previously, and I'm not completely moving away, but just doing things differently. So I've just launched my new one-to-one coaching program. So I'll be sharing more about that in the coming weeks, months, whatever. But it's really about aligned living. So over this 15-month period, I have learned to live the most incredible, meaningful, beautiful, like purpose-led life, despite being bedded at certain points, not being able to walk at certain points, like feeling depressed, feeling like crippling anxiety, like my whole world getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. But I have learned to kind of create this new empowered life for myself. And I really want to support other people in allowing them to connect with their purpose, to connect with their passion, to connect with joy, to feel empowered in their lives, to create lives that they love, like they want to wake up to. So that is kind of the direction of what I'm doing there. So that's kind of one-to-one coaching. And then I've got 3 group programs. And again, all this stuff is being kind of guided by intuition and downloaded, as opposed to like, I don't know, just
Super
getting my
planned or schedule.
getting my humanness in the way. So, literally the group coaching is 3 separate programs. Each one's 5 weeks long. They all follow on to each other, but you can do them as standalone. And the first one is called Vibe, which is about everything I'm speaking about, the working with the vibration of the body, the vibrancy, working with your emotions so that you can shift your vibration up and kind of not kind of absorb everybody else's stuff as well, that you can take more ownership for your energy and how you show up in the world. The second one is called Connect, which is all about spiritual practices. So that, like, we've been speaking about intuition a lot today. So that, like, different tools, techniques, practices, so people can really hone and channel their own inner guide or higher power or God or source or whatever, you connect with. And then the third one, which I'm going to be doing in January, because it seems like the perfect time to do it, is called Purpose. And that's really 5 weeks about connecting to your life purpose. Really, I'm going to have got so many different kind of things that I've worked through in the past 15 months of really tuning into what lights you up, what sets your soul on fire, and following that purpose. So that's kind of...
They sound fab. And are they open to everyone?
So yeah, they're open to everybody. For the one-to-one coaching, I'm only going to take 2 people on to start with, starting in July. So I'm chatting with a lady on Thursday, which I'm really excited about, to see if it's for her. And yeah, so if anybody is interested in those, they can just simply reach out to me and we can arrange kind of a little chat to find out if that kind of coaching method is going to support you, because it's a mixture of strategy, spirituality, vibrational healing. There's lots of incredible, like, super cool things in it, like bespoke meditation. So I work with you to work like whatever your goals are, and I create a meditation and MP3 around that specific for you to listen to as we work through it. And there's Reiki, and you get bespoke crystals. So I'm working with our local crystal shop to get whatever that individual needs, working with really high vibe essential oils. So yeah, I'm really excited. You can probably tell I am really excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And I just can't wait to share that. And then just like, focusing on my own health, really honoring my own rest. So I'm working differently, I'm working less, I'm taking going to try and work for 3 weeks and take the week of my bleed off, for example, as I'm still going through this like perimenopausal stage, so I can dive deeper into rest. And yeah, just really honoring my relationships, my family time, my friends, and making sure that I've got time for all the parts of my life and not getting so consumed into one area.
Yeah. Oh no, I think that last bit is so good, because I think quite often we plan everything else, work, things that we do for other people, but we don't plan or schedule or make that specific time for ourselves. And I think that if you don't do that, then those other things aren't going as good as they could do. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's why we need structure as well. So I've spent a lot of time in kind of feminine energy and flow like this 15 months because I've had to, because I haven't been able to plan. I've had to really just go with the flow. But we do need both. We do need structure. We need to factor in, even if that is just the things that support our health, like the sleep or the catching up with friends, or daily yoga, like for me, is important, or because that helps my balance and mobility. So yeah, planning and scheduling the things is important, as well as going with the flow and how you're feeling each day.
Yeah, it's a balance, isn't it?
Absolutely. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I've loved finding out more, because I think, like I said, since I met you in January, I'm like, I'd said to actually a couple of friends that I said I was going to do this. I just said, yes, Susie, just you do have a vibe, and it's just a good vibe, and it makes you, you're just somebody, you meet those people and they just have good vibes and you want to spend time with them. And yeah, I thought I would like to know a little bit more about Susie. So no, I find that really interesting.
Oh, Ace, thank you. I think you've got a good vibe too, lady.
Oh, thank
So
you very
yeah,
much.
no, I'm so glad that our paths have crossed, and yeah, I'm sure we can see each other in person
Yeah.
um again soon. That'll be super cool. So thank you so much. And I don't have to pop links to Natalie below unless you want everybody to come and follow you on social media.
I mean, I don't mind. I've kind of switched between public and private so often for like
Yeah.
competitions and stuff, and I just think, oh, there's nothing on there that, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't will see it. So yeah,
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I don't think there's any links that I need to pop below either, but I'll maybe pop a link to my coaching page. I am updating it currently. It has been updated a bit. But if anybody wants to check that out, or if they're interested in the group coaching, they can drop me a message as well. And I can wait to get waiting lists set up for that this week, and then share more about the first 5 weeks vibe soon, because it's all mapped out, good to go. But I'm going to wait till after the school holidays for that one and just
yeah.
begin. And yeah, that'll be so much fun. So thank you, my love. I shall stop recording and
Okay.
say our goodbyes. And I'll look forward to seeing you
I know. See you
soon. Bye.
later. Bye.